My father-in-law has breakfast every Saturday morning at a restaurant. He gets there at 6 a.m. when they open and usually stays until 8:30 or so. His kids and grandchildren drop in and out. Most don't stay the whole time. They either pay their own checks on the way out or leave him cash to cover the bill, and he pays before he leaves. Last Saturday, I went late and crossed him leaving. My wife and daughters waited for me. I ordered and they chatted while I ate. They headed home while I went to the counter to pay the check. It was $171. I immediately asked for an itemized receipt, and after a bit of hesitation, the waitress provided it. I took one look and knew I'd been stuck with my sister-in-law's check too. The waitress confirmed that she had been there early and didn't pay before leaving. The waitress assumed someone else would pay for it, as they sometimes do. I requested that she separate the checks. My family of 4 was $60, and my sister-in-law's family of 3 was $111. The manager came over to discuss the situation and said I could pay. My sister-in-law could come within 30 minutes to pay, or he would call the police. I called my sister-in-law, who said she was out of town, and asked me to pay for it. She said she'd pay me later. I told her she could Venmo or Cash App me right away and I'd pay it. She asked for the total and I told her. She then asked what her share was and I told her that was her total, as we had separate checks. She didn't understand how breakfast for 3 could be $111. I read the ticket. Coffee, orange juice, milk, and Coke for everyone equals 4 times $3 each times 3 people equals $36. A double cheeseburger with fries is $15, and a side of hash browns is $3. Add grilled onions and mushrooms, $2. Add extra cheese, $2. Add bacon, $3, equals $25. An all-meat omelet meal is $12. Add a side of bacon for $3, and add a stack of pancakes for $5, equals $20. French toast, $10. Add blueberries, $1. Add strawberries, $1. Add a side of bacon, $3. Add grits, $3, and cheese, $2, equals $20, equals $101 plus tax, $10, equals $111. She said she didn't understand how it added up to so much. I told her that was how her family always ordered, so I didn't understand how she didn't understand how all the extra things added up. However, I wasn't willing to spend my whole Saturday dealing with it. She could send me money immediately to pay her check, or I was leaving without paying. She sent me the exact amount, no tip. I paid, tipped the waitress, and left. I told my wife and she said that her sister never leaves enough to cover her bill. My sister-in-law called my father-in-law and complained that her day was ruined. They were planning to go to the opening weekend of the water park and buy season passes, but couldn't afford it after paying for breakfast. He thinks I'm a jerk for putting her on the spot, knowing she probably couldn't afford $100+ for breakfast. He says he forgot she had been there and thinks I should have just paid and asked for the money later. He says he would have paid me if she hadn't. So am I the idiot for asking a 30-something-year-old woman to pay for her own forgotten breakfast check and insisting that she paid me right away because she has a history of not repaying debts? Are you joking? She goes to a restaurant. She and her family stuff their faces with enough food to choke a horse, knowing they can't afford the bill and have zero intention to pay it anyway, and then have the audacity to complain when they get caught out? Where do people get their nerve? They obviously ordered all that food, fully intending to stick someone else with the bill. That's just ignorant. And I'm so glad you called her out. Boo-hoo for her ruined day. She deserves to have consequences for the stunt she pulled. You're so not the idiot here. If you don't have $111 to spare for breakfast, you don't order a $111 breakfast. This isn't some random tragedy she had no control over. OP, you rightly expected your sister-in-law to pay for her meal, especially given her history of not repaying debts. You offered her a way to pay immediately, which she did. It's not your responsibility to cover her expensive order. Holding her accountable was fair and necessary. She knew what she was doing, and honestly, your father-in-law did as well. My guess is she always sticks the old man with her family's bill, or the majority of it, and he pays because he gets joy out of seeing his grandkids. In other words, she makes him pay for the privilege. But who orders 3 different beverages for brunch? Milk plus orange juice plus pop? That's crazy. 4. They also had coffee. Someone in that family downed milk, orange juice pop, and an extra cheese double cheeseburger with fries and a side of hash browns for breakfast, and then presumably headed over to the water park for opening weekend. That's insane. I don't think I could even lounge in a lazy river with all that sitting in my stomach. My wife and I are expecting our second child, and we've run into a problem with names. We have a son already, Finley, and we chose his name easily. It was my wife's third favorite name, and I loved it, so it was easy to agree to. But girls' names are a little tougher because my wife always wanted an Emily. She's loved that name for years, while I've always disliked it very strongly. I don't know why. I know a lot of Emilys, and I always found the name overhyped. It doesn't sound as pretty and amazing to me as it does to many others. I'd say I hate it, but out of kindness to my wife, and because of how popular it is, I don't say that. My wife championed the name the first time we sat and discussed names for our daughter. She was so upset when I said no. She asked me if anything could change my mind, and I told her, honestly, that I didn't think so. She asked if I liked Amelia or Emilia more, and I said no. But I told her I do like Amelie. It's really the only version of these names that I do like. But the pronunciation I and many people around me use, including some French people, sounds so different to Emily or Amelia. My wife doesn't like the spelling and pronunciation issues that would come with Amelie, and I understand that. But she's having difficulty moving on from Emily, and she asked me to explain what I dislike about the name. So I talked without sounding too harsh about the name, and she grew frustrated and told me it's popular for a reason. When we discussed it another time, just a few days ago, she told me I was being stubborn and unfair because I told her I just couldn't get behind the name Emily for our daughter. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Names are a compromise in a situation when you disagree. Sometimes one of the first you learn to make as a parent. A true compromise isn't, I get my way and you just fold and deal. It's a middle ground you both agree to, even if it means relinquishing something. I get it. I absolutely love the name Henry. All my life. I couldn't picture a future son as anything but Henry. Well, it turned out my husband hated that name. He wanted a family name from his side. I said heck no to that, as I already feel like his family is way too keen to pretend my side doesn't matter. So, compromise. Another first name we both loved, a very rare family name from his side as a middle name, and a future cat gets to be Henry. Yeah, get a cat and name her Emily. OP, instead of trying to explain why you dislike a certain name and why she likes that name, it would be more productive to just find another name that you both agree on. What you're doing now is a waste of time, as you won't change your mind, and the only solution is to move on and find a name that you both would enjoy. I'm 23 female, pregnant with my first child, a daughter. My boyfriend, 23, and I have decided to name her Ren. We didn't tell many people yet. My boyfriend told his parents, and I told my parents and my siblings. After I told my sister, 30, she asked me if we could talk, and she showed me a list she had of names that she and her husband had chosen for future babies. Ren was the girl's name they had chosen too. I had no idea. My sister never thought anyone in the family would go for a name like Ren, and when she heard we had chosen that name, she got a little sad. You see, my sister and her husband have been trying for a baby for 6 to 7 years and have been unsuccessful. Right now, they're undergoing some fertility treatments to try to have a child. It's been super hard on her, and when my boyfriend and I learned we were expecting, we agreed I should tell my sister first and give her time to process. She told me how much she appreciated it, and she was sad for a little while after, as well as super jealous. But I understand because this is something she's wanted for so long, and it was difficult for her to see me get pregnant so fast. I love my sister, and I always want to try and be understanding and not make her feel like crap because I'm having a baby and she's still trying. But when she asked me to please choose another name so she could name a future daughter, I didn't feel I could agree. My daughter feels like Ren to both me and my boyfriend. We've already got some items with her name on it. We've grown very attached and bonded more with our Ren. I know that it's not a big deal for many people to share the same name in a family, but our family doesn't really like doing that. Our names might have been used in previous generations of the family, but we never liked the idea of 2 living members of the family sharing a name, and we're all so close that it would get confusing. So I know to her it means Ren has to leave their list if I use it. I told my sister I couldn't change my daughter's name after we had already committed so heavily, and the name felt right. She burst into tears but told me she understood. She hugged me and everything. Then my brother-in-law got involved, and he tore me a new one for not sacrificing a name so that my sister could hold on to hope that she'd get to name their future daughter that one day. He said she'd been such a good big sister to me, and this would cost me nothing. Am I the idiot? You're not the idiot. You didn't know, and you've bonded. Your Ren is a Ren. And while it may be painful for them, that's not on you. They may have a boy and never use the name, or maybe they do have a girl, but she just doesn't feel like a Ren. While it may be painful for brother-in-law, he shouldn't be taking it out on you. It's great that you're trying to be sensitive to their struggle, but it doesn't make it okay for anyone to take away from your joy of becoming a mom to your Ren. Brother-in-law 100% was taking his sadness out on you. If they also think of a potential daughter as their Ren, it'll be painful to see your Ren and hear that name all the time. You are the idiot. I would change the name. Once the child is born, your brain will adjust to whatever you name them, and it's just a kindness to someone you know is hurting. It's not like the name has a generational meaning for your boyfriend or something, right? But your sister's been waiting for her Ren for years, and I would feel really badly about doing that to her. She can name her daughter Ren as well. Cousins can have the same name. My friend had her daughter 5 months after me. We later learned that she wanted to name her little girl the same as I did my daughter. I would have been totally fine with it, but she didn't ask, either for fear of offending me or because she wanted her daughter's name to be unique. I really don't understand this obsession with using a name only once in an entire generation or friend group. I'm a 62-year-old female. My stepdaughter, Kay, has been in my life since she was 8. I met my late husband when I was 34 and he was 37. Kay is his daughter from his previous marriage. We got married when Kay was 11. She was close to her mother, so she never considered me a mother, but we had a good relationship. Unfortunately, my husband and I weren't able to have children. Just after Kay finished high school, she got pregnant. She had only been dating her boyfriend for a few weeks, and he didn't want to stay with her. Kay really wanted to keep the baby though, but she was planning to go out of state for college, so we talked about it for a long time. Her mother didn't want to be involved, as she disapproved of the whole thing. She was, justifiably I suppose, angry at Kay for making stupid choices that could alter her future, and Kay sort of pulled away from her after that. So I quit my job to raise her baby, H. Kay decided to switch to a college closer to home so she could visit H every weekend. She called almost every day to see her. She was trying very hard to balance staying connected to her child and also setting up a decent future. But obviously, H was much closer to me. I was with her every day until she was 4, and she only saw her mom once a week and was on video call. I tried telling her that Kay was her mom and I was her grandma, and she didn't call me mom, but she was closer to me. After college, Kay did a post-grad degree for 3 more years. Then she moved back to our city. She tried really hard to build a close relationship with H, but by that time she was a pre-tween, and even though they did become close, she would always sort of come to me first for things. Kay was sad about this, but we didn't really talk about it. Eventually, Kay got married, and H lives with them, but she visits me multiple times a week, and we text every day. Kay's dad also passed, which was really hard for both of us. So H just graduated from high school, and she was selected to give a speech because she was a standout student. She called me and asked if it was okay if she mentions me. I said that's really sweet of her, and of course. Kay and her husband and I went to it together. In the speech, H talked about how her best childhood memories are the stories I told her, and they were really sweet. She only mentioned Kay in the bit at the end, where you thank everyone who helped you get here and whatnot. Kay didn't say anything during the party. Still, afterward, she told me that I always encouraged H to stay closer to me than her, as if I were competing with her. She said that I wanted to be a parent so badly that I took it from her. I just want some unbiased opinions. Not the idiot. Your stepdaughter can't understand that you can't have your cake and eat it. She decided to let someone else raise her child while she was studying. You made an enormous effort to help her by quitting your job and taking care of her kid. While I might understand that you might have done it simply because you couldn't have your own kids, it doesn't change anything. You sacrificed a portion of your life for both, and both of them should be grateful to you. And while your grandchild understands it, your stepdaughter doesn't. You didn't take anything from her. She did it by herself. Imagine someone, not even your biological mother or someone you consider a mother, giving up their job and life for 7 years to raise your child so you can have the life you always wanted. Now imagine, instead of eternal gratitude, blaming them when your child is inevitably really close to this parental figure. No good deed goes unpunished. I, 38 female, have been married to my husband Rob, 52 male, for 4 years now. My husband's late wife died 1 year before we met, and we dated for 2 years before marriage. He has 2 kids, Madison 28 and Brett 26. Note that I'm not calling them my stepkids because they explicitly told me I'm not their stepmom, just their dad's wife. I didn't play a part in raising them, so I'm okay with that. It's always been tense between us. I've tried my best to be kind to them and have been generous when I can, but they're very cold with me. Being a child of divorce, I can partially relate to a parent moving on, so I try not to force anything. Madison recently got engaged, and we were excited about it. Everyone was over recently, and she asked about a wedding budget from us, and Rob told her he was able to contribute $10K. She has bigger hopes for her wedding than this, so she was upset and kept asking for more. Rob, however, is still working hard on building his savings back up. Before his late wife died, he basically wiped out his cash savings, had to cash out his 401k, and even took a small mortgage on his house to cover medical costs, as well as life expenses since he had to cut back on working. Eventually, he had to drop that job for a more flexible but lower paying one, so this $10K is really generous from him. Rob went to run an errand, and it was just his kids and me. Madison then asked me if I was going to give anything in addition to what her dad was giving. I told her we were a marital unit and that what we discussed together was a reasonable amount to contribute. She then said, "I should have known. Obviously, you married an older man for what he had, not for what you could give." I knew she didn't like me, but this was the most flat-out rude thing she's ever said. I kind of lost it and said, "Excuse me? Who do you think has been paying the second mortgage your dad took out to pay his debts?" The truth is, I make more than her father by a large margin. I have no debt, and I've been paying 70% of the household bills the whole time we've been married. The $10K we're giving her is available because I've been able to subsidize her father's living expenses for the last few years. I made it clear that not only am I not a gold digger, but I'm literally wealthier than my older husband. She called me stuck up after this and stormed out. Then she called her dad later and said that I blamed her mother for being sick and for her not having a better wedding budget. I told him what happened, and he was mad at her, but also said I shouldn't have shared his financial details with his kids. Am I the idiot for telling my husband's kids how broke he was when we met after they insinuated I was a gold digger? Not the idiot, but you have to know that you're either stuck up or a gold digger to a child, even an adult one, who's determined to make you a wicked stepmother. He should have shared his financial situation himself. She's an adult and is old enough to understand that medical expenses are the reason there's not a larger savings. This should not feel like blaming the sick person. This is a sad reality of for-profit health care. They were his late wife's medical debts. It's not like he has anything to be ashamed of. I'm assuming a long illness and him being a caretaker for a long time. It takes a toll. I see no reason to keep it from his kids, and he'd be a jerk to let them believe you're a money drain on your marriage when it's the kid's mother's medical care doing it. Next time Madison calls you a gold digger, tell her to hold the mirror up to her own face, because asking someone to give more money is an idiot move. The kids are grown up, and now they need to start adulting. She's lucky she got that offer from her dad. Why do these kids act so entitled? Ugh!